No heckling, Mabel.
I got my first R. Hello. Hello, I'm Dan, and I'm the best brother. I'm pretty sure Andrew wanted Jay to be the best man today because he told me. In the end, he felt obliged to have me because he was best man at my wedding. It's a real honour to be asked. It's a real honour to be asked, and it's with fond memories I think back about his speech on my big day. Where amongst other things, he told all our wedding guests that I was a child groomer. I met Andrew when I was 1. And back then he was known as Little Roo. When I think of Little Roo, I think of 4 things which are particularly important to him. It's his family, sports, his friends, and not forgetting his music career. Growing up, he was terrible. He was a terrible person. Arguments and fighting were a daily event. He tormented his siblings and he was always the one who started it. He may have been a child monster, but as he matured, I experienced his thoughtful and caring side, and none more so than at Christmas. I remember a few years ago when our grandpa unwrapped his own thoughtful present from Little Roo, and he was greeted with a book on how to avoid paying inheritance tax. It's true. So as a teenager, like the rest of us, he did a traditional stint at Dad's office working. His strong work ethic was highlighted when Dad met Little Roo downstairs at home one morning at 6:30. Dad looked at him proudly, how great it was to see his son up and dressed, waiting so eagerly to get stuck into an honest day's work. What Dad didn't notice was that Little Roo was still wearing the same clothes he wore the day before, and had just walked through the door from a heavy night. These are all true stories. So when Little Roo, we'll just call him Roo now, when Roo talks about his sporting achievements, he'll tell you that he played rugby at Twickenham. We've all heard that one. He competed internationally in the discus throwing. He recently completed a 100-mile bike ride for charity. It's all very good, yeah, but let me tell you about his sporting achievements. I see here, this is a man who's willing to compete at much higher levels than he's capable of. He'll spend any sum of money to have the very best clothing and equipment. He'll follow this up with an intense period of training, detoxification, and the shaving of whichever body parts are required. He'll then sustain an injury. He'll give the sporting equipment away free of charge. He'll retoxify himself thoroughly. Wait until the hair grows back and repeat the process again. After retiring from football back in the early 2000s, Roo made a return to the five-a-side arena with the South Coast team FC 20 Bensons. After each game, the struggling hack Sun journalist Adam Skinner, who's also a member of the team, he wrote a blow-by-blow account of the games. I'm just going to read you a little one now. Pritchard was due to play in 20's Crunch promotion clash on Tuesday night, but he pulled out at the 11th hour, citing illness, fatigue, and the return of an old knee injury. Of course, his absence was felt on the pitch, but 20 battled through and managed to clinch a 5-3 win. However, when the team returned to Captain Adam Skinner's house, where Pritchard also lived, to celebrate their victory, Pritchard was found not ill, but drinking red wine with his teammates' now half-cut wives and girlfriends.
That's not fun.
There's one of them.
The busty defender refused to give reasons for missing the game and showed no emotion when he found out his teammates had claimed a victory. But what he did say was, "I don't care. I don't even like football. I don't like any of you either." So, despite his flaws, little Roo, he's a loyal friend, and he's got many of them. He's travelled the country and some parts of Europe with his friends, even as far as Berlin. Him and his friends were having such a good time in Berlin once that they decided to capture the memory on camera. Little Roo had the excellent idea of recreating the famous Beatles Abbey Road album cover on those big stones in the square. As they got into position for the photo, it took a passerby to point out to them that we're in fact standing on the Berlin Holocaust Memorial.
Don't try and defend yourself.
The other four are here.
True story. His music career began with his friend Brad. So still at school, Brad and Andy, or Brandy as they called themselves, they began their journey to fame in the local pub. After little Roo picked up his bass guitar and moved into position where he could clearly see himself in the reflection of the pub window, an audience of 6 regulars stared in horror as Brandy announced they would only be playing songs from their new album. Several years later, I was watching him playing the Cryptics. Roo described the band modestly as a cross between the Beatles and Rolling Stones. They didn't quite enjoy the same success as either, having been so far ahead of their time. And although they didn't make it to the top of the charts, sadly they were neither critically acclaimed or even very popular. Did this knock little Roo's confidence? When the band split up, there were broken hearts and lost souls. But the silver lining was that Roo could now focus his time and attention on finding the real love of his life. Which of course brings me on to Kat. Girlfriends of the past were merely tolerated by Roo. Everyone noticed a difference when Kat came on the scene. It was after their first date he said he was going to marry her, as we said. And we were all astonished how he managed to convince someone so classy, funny and intelligent to marry him. Punching above his weight doesn't quite cover it, but we're all so glad he did. I'm sure Kat will agree that he does have some good points. He's about the best brother you could ask for. He's loyal, he's caring, he's generous and at times very funny. Mum made me add that bit. It's nice, isn't it? He's a true one-off, and it makes us so happy to see that he's found his soulmate. They're the perfect couple, and they've got a lifetime of happiness waiting ahead of them after today. Now, if you'd all like to please stand and join me in raising a glass and saying congratulations to the lovely couple.
The lovely.
And now a song.